This week, the last week of the term, is a bit out of sync chronologically with the previous lecture. I've done this deliberately because I wanted to give, first of all, an overview of the scramble for Africa and the types of impact that had in looking at British northern Nigeria through the text of Baba of Cairo. And now what I want to do is look at the French expansion into West Africa and North Africa, which in many ways preceded the scramble, although French imperialism beforehand was really important in terms of establishing the parameters for the scramble for Africa in the last 2 decades or so of the 19th century. The French expansion was different in the following senses. The French began moving inland in Senegal earlier in the 19th century. They had occupied the Saint Louis on the Senegal River, an island in the Senegal River, and the island of Gorée off the coast, in fact, is in the harbor of modern Dakar. They don't occupy these areas for a long time. It was when they started moving their armies into the interior in the middle of the 19th century that things really began to change. So that's one dimension that's different from the end of the 19th century scramble for Africa because it began earlier. A second dimension relates to the fact that the French moved into Algeria in the 1820s, and then specifically and more importantly in the 1830s. And the settlement and the occupation of Algeria also was very different from what the British were doing, except in the fact that the British had a colony in South Africa that was small, and they had a small colony in Sierra Leone at the same time. But the French had an idea that they wanted to expand across the Mediterranean, which brought them into warfare with the Ottoman Empire, because at the time that they attacked Algeria, Algeria was really part of the Ottoman Empire. And the French decided that what they wanted in Algeria, in the northern part of Algeria along the Mediterranean, was an area where French settlers could actually move. And in the end, a very large number of French and indeed other Europeans under French rule moved and confiscated land and set up their own farms and their own areas of the cities, and their own wards and cities, so that in effect this was really a different type of European expansion into Africa. And between the movement into Algeria and the movement inland from Dakar, because that's where Gorée is located, and Saint Louis, the French had a vision that they wanted to conquer all of the Sahara, they wanted to conquer all of West Africa, and they wanted to unite Algeria and the Senegal sub-Saharan regions into a gigantic French empire. Now that in the end proved to be a lot more difficult than they thought, but the occupation of Algeria and the occupation of Senegal turned out to be very significant in terms of European expansion. So, in order to look at this in some detail, the video for the week is an important movie by the Senegalese film director Ousmane Sembane. And Ousmane Sembane is a very important individual himself historically. First, he was a novelist, wrote quite a few very important novels in French. He then became a film director, an award-winning film director, and the movie you're going to see, entitled Chedo, is one of the films that was an award-winning film. It's a movie about individuals who were political and military figures in West Africa who were known as Chedo. And Chedo roughly translate as a warlord or warrior, and which is what the Chedo were historically. And the fact that he did a whole film on these individuals, these warriors, was an important statement at the time that he did the film, a statement that the French views of West Africa were as a primitive area, as a backward area, really didn't capture the complexities of history. So Ousmane Sembane, as a film director, as a novelist, is an important individual to know, and to see his film is one way of getting to know what his work was like. And the second thing is a rather long novel that you can read over the whole course of your Christmas vacation. It's a novel by Maurice Condé, and it's a novel entitled Ségou, which was originally published in French, an award-winning novel. This is an English translation of that novel. It's a long novel. I hope you enjoy it. I hope that it helps you to understand Ousmane Sembane's film Chedo, because Ségou was a political state in West Africa that the French conquered. And in order to conquer Ségou, they had to defeat the warrior elite who were known as Chedo. So this is the reason that I want you to read this long novel, and also to look at the film.